I can just rebut what has been said. You need to make up your own minds. But my mind is made up. He's a liar. And my friends say likewise.
Okay. What do you think?
I'm thinking that should have gone completely different.
All right, we are back again doing part 3 of a single interview. I did not realize that it would go on this long for one interview, but there was so much going on. It is incredible. We are again, of course, addressing Fiona Harvey. Fiona Harvey was probably depicted as a character named Martha in the wildly successful series Baby Reindeer on Netflix. I'm hedging my terms because, well, she's claimed that she is Martha, but then she says she is not Martha, all in the same interview. So I can't really say whether she is or is not Martha. And this interview she went on, I was shocked to find out she was only paid £250 to appear with Piers Morgan. Now, I just want to put this out there. I don't know if Fiona is ever going to watch this, but I will pay you £250 for an interview. I would love to have you on, and I would be happy to do it as a live stream, so that way the audience could communicate with you. It will not be edited or anything else. It will be completely live. You will know everything you said is there for the record. Everything you didn't say was there for the record. I have interviewed other people who are controversial, like Carol Baskin, and I hope you consider coming on and doing an interview. We would really love to talk to you. So I just wanted to put that out there to Fiona, if she's ever watching this. And if anybody knows her, please send this her way. I would love to talk to her. So again, we are back with Gavin. Gavin, how are you doing?
Hey, looking forward to part 3 today. Got some good big revelations coming up.
I am too. And it's kind of funny because we're doing this in a different way. Rather than just doing one long analysis, we did a partial analysis, put it out there, got a lot of feedback. So then in part 2, we were able to discuss some of the feedback. And then now we're into part 3. And I really appreciate how we're having a conversation, I feel, with everyone who's watching this.
Yeah, I'm loving it. And I know there are a couple of things you want to address as well about our ums and our ers.
Yes, okay. That was something that came out that I thought was very interesting. And I did want to address it because it sort of proves a point, in my opinion. And they pointed out that you and I also say quite a lot. Well, that is exactly the point. Gavin and I don't know exactly what we are saying next, so we are generating and making it up on the fly as we're going along. It's not scripted. We don't know, and it's not something we remember. It is, we're developing these thoughts in real time, and we're using pauses, different things like that to help us formulate the next thought. Would you think that's a fair description, Gavin?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And this, like I say, reinforces what we were saying about when somebody is being completely truthful with an answer. If I ask you, Eric, what did you have for dinner last night? You can answer with
cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers. There you go. You didn't need to think about it. There's no ums, there's no pauses. There's no, Yeah, if I had to turn around to you and said, Eric, what did you have for dinner last night? And you'd have gone, I had, we started off, we went to a, then I'd be a bit like, hang on, what's going on here? Because he shouldn't need to put this much thought into a single answer where it's a simple question. And that's what, like I say, reinforces what we were saying when she's been asked questions and these ums and ers are coming up. She's putting a lot of thought into her answer rather than just accessing the memory and saying what happened.
Exactly. So these are the kinds of comments that I really do welcome because it helps us to evaluate what we are doing, but also share our thoughts as we're all discovering together. I mean, I'm learning as I go. Gavin is far, far ahead of me. But there's more we've gotten in here. And this case is so crazy. And really the biggest, craziest part, we spent a lot of time talking about true story in the last segment. And before I even had it fully edited and ready to go out, I'm looking around saying, okay, did she go to jail? Did she go to jail? Did she go to jail? And I get in the comments that this guy, Kyle Muir, saying, my auntie, Fiona Muir Harvey, back in jail for you. Piers Morgan Uncensored, 100% confirmed for you. And then, is that really your aunt? Is this real? Has she been in jail? Kyle said for 4 months. Yes. Thank you for replying. Is she lying on the show? 100% lies. Okay. So that was some feedback from the audience. Hey, her nephew, Kyle Muir, is out there. And Kyle Muir has said that, no, this is in fact true. She did go to jail for 4 months. And well, I kept digging, and he released a TikTok.
So after 5 days of pretending to be Fiona Harvey's nephew, best to tell you it was all a joke, just to put a spanner on the works. Was supposed to be between friends, but went viral.
And there we have it. So that's the first part. Then I saw there was another TikTok going around, and it showed her in court and in prison uniform. Let's look at that again. AI generated. And if we had any questions about the AI generation, boy, she has some interesting fingers there. It's almost like they're sort of cut off and put back on. I hope she's feeling better since. Would you look at that? It's like they didn't even bother sewing the finger back on. It's just sort of hanging out there. So there you go, folks. That is AI. More confirmation. Now, other comments have come out saying that Gad has also said that no, she did not go to jail. She only got a restraining order. And there we have it. There is, however, another person who has come out and claimed that she was a stalking victim as well. So this story, and this is a Laura Ray, who is a widow of a former Labor MP. So kind of a connected person, it appears. She claims that she also was stalked, and oddly enough, I don't know what you think. She claims that she had not thought about her stalker for years until seeing the interview.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, you know, the thing is, I mean, there seems to be a little bit of a history and a little bit of a repetitive behaviour going on here, especially with her previous employer. Her previous employer did something, didn't it? It wasn't an injunction. What was it? Can you remember?
I think it was a restraining order or some variant. Or something
it was
like that.
An interim interdict. So that's basically when somebody thinks there's a danger and they immediately need a restraining order, and they can't get one straight away because of the amount of paperwork involved and the time and process it takes to get it done. They put this interim interdict in place, which is like a kind of, there's a restraining order on the way. In the meantime, this applies. So, but if the restraining order is never completed, and then the whole record of that kind of, I think, pretty much goes away after a certain amount of time.
Okay, well, and when she was rebutting Fiona now, she did say, I am not a stalker. I have not been to jail. I've not got injunctions. It's complete nonsense. So what you're describing then would make her statement accurate?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, you know, she could say, I've not got injunctions. That's pretty much true. It was an interim interdict. So it's like there's so many things
She is a lawyer.
Yeah, she's going to know. She's going to know this kind of where the technicalities lie, as it were.
Okay. Well, let's get rolling and get to the rest of the clips. And as usual, everyone, please give us the feedback. We are reading the comments. We do appreciate it, even if they're critical. I can't learn. I can't get any better unless I'm getting feedback from folks, and I will do my best. So let's start off with where we were, and we're now at clip number 27 out of 34, folks.
You had a lot of banter with him.
Yeah, but banter's one thing. Scottish banter down here is quite kind of welcome. It's not really Fun City, is it? It's not.
I don't even understand what she's saying there. She's saying that she did say banter earlier, and I pointed that out, and we talked about that. That shows a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You and I are bantering.
Yeah.
But Scottish banter? Gavin, I'm not from that side of the pond. Help me understand the difference between Scottish and every other.
All right, so to help the Americans out with a little bit of geography, kind of, and I'll put this in a way where I said it to a wind a friend up the once. I said our Scotland is like your Canada, so that's our version. So there is like a little bit of a very patriotic Scottish sense of humour, but it's no different to any other banter or humour around the world, really. Banter is banter. She's trying to indicate that they were all friends. And again, we've had this backwards and forwards. We did mention it yesterday. 1 minute, I don't know him. I never knew him. I never had any contact with him. Next thing, we were all having banter. We were all sending emails to congratulate him. And it just continues the trend of this flip-flopping that she's doing, which I would definitely recommend. She needs to pick a story and stick to whichever one it is.
So are you saying that Scottish banter might be considered slightly more aggressive? So like we have some people in the United States called massholes. They're from Massachusetts, and they have kind of a slightly abrasive personality. They don't mean, they don't mean anything ugly. It's just kind of the way they speak. Is that kind of what she's saying there? That maybe
to a degree. I mean, so you and I will probably both know this a little bit better as military banter. In military banter, you've got it's almost like your own kind of language. You have your laughs and your jokes. Outside of the military, those same kind of humorous quips would probably get frowned upon or looked upon a little bit unusual. And the Scottish, again, they're a great bunch. I used to live in Scotland for a while, and they've got a very different sense of humour in the way that they're going to project it, as it were.
Interact.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. All right. Anything to discuss on there, deception-wise, or is this just mostly about the banter?
No.
Law degree. So you're obviously very bright. How did you do at school?
I've got a photographic memory. I was top of the school, apart from.
Okay.
Right. I wanted
photographic memory, top of the school?
Yeah, I wanted to get that in. It's important that we know that she's got a photographic memory.
I believe so. I think this is the next question, right?
The science.
Which school was that?
Balfour High. I went to the science. Person got the most marks because you can get 99%.
How many O and A levels did you end up with?
I got 6 hires, 2 SYSs, and they were all sort of, most were A-band ones, which was when the A-band one was top of the thing.
And with your law,
do me a favor. Explain exactly what she's saying to us Americans. It sounds like she's talking about levels or status in her education, but I don't know how that breaks down.
It's they keep changing the systems over here. We had O levels, and we had A levels, and we had CSEs, and we had GCSEs, and it keeps changing and changing all the time. And so does the way that they marked. It used to be the old ABC method. Now they've got it on a 1 to 9 method. It changes all the time. This was in an era that was just before mine, just before the change. So I'm sorry, I don't actually know myself what those grades would be.
Okay, so but A levels, I'm assuming, is high grades.
Yeah, A levels are usually the better.
Agree. What grade did you get?
Not bad. I mean, all right. I just did an ordinary degree and then a diploma in legal practice.
Well, what grades did you get
degree. All right grades. But I went out
what were they?
partying. I didn't do an honors degree, so just bog standard grades.
She's just really not wanting to say what her grades were. She's a genius and everything, but what grade? What grades are those? Well, they're all right grades.
This is
I
where
thought it
she
was
would
like
just been better saying, sorry, Piers, I don't want to reveal what grades I got. Or just saying, look, for personal reasons, I don't want to discuss it. I don't get what the system is here as to why she keeps trying to cover it and use this whole kind of, try and talk her way out of a situation that there's no need to talk her way out of. All she's got to say is, don't want to tell you. She's not obliged to.
Wait, ask me how I did, Gavin.
How did you do it? What grades did you get?
From terrible to mediocre, depending on the year.
Okay, but specifically, which grades did you get?
All over the map. I might have eked out a couple A's, but most of the time, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, it's, at the end of the day, that just for me shows the kind of personality type that she is. With regards to the fact that she continued to answer and try and talk her way out of it. And,
she's still going.
Yeah.
What grade did you did a law degree? Or?
I did a law degree with 13 law subjects. So it wasn't the CPE or anything, which I also have from down here, but it was 13 law subjects.
This is from Aberdeen University.
Yeah.
So what degree did you end up with?
A law degree, and then I did a politics degree after that.
And what grade did you get?
Politics, women's studies. I did substantially better in that because I did more work. I think in our day, when you went to university, you did.
There's a reason you say you got a photographic memory, but
yeah.
She just never said what the grades actually were.
No.
Ever. And in a way, like I didn't give you a full answer because I actually don't remember all of my grades.
Fair enough.
I'm probably trying to bury that memory. in fairness, she's like, I have a feeling she didn't do as well because of her word choice. Like I did well enough, and I did better. I did substantially better. So let's say here in the States, if I got a D, and that I passed, right? I didn't fail. And then if I got like a C plus, that's substantially better.
And I'm pretty certain that you can actually research some of these grades if they've got a degree. I'm not 100% sure, but if you know the year, the university, and the degree in question, I think you can find out. And that's perhaps why she didn't want to say, because maybe she's told her work colleagues that she's got A's for all her exams, and the truth is maybe she got D's for everything. I mean, again, this is just speculation. I don't know.
Sure.
But the truth of the matter is she's certainly not wanting to divulge the information, that's for sure.
What grades did you get?
All right grades. I mean, not top of the year or anything.
No,
but all right
grades.
when
you do a degree, you get a...
Yeah, you're asking me what marks I got for 13 subjects. I can't remember.
Okay, there we
go.
go.
I wanted, there's two reasons I want that in. One is because that demonstrates that she evidently doesn't have a photographic memory. But also it was a little bit at the end where she went, you're asking me what grades I got 13 years ago. I can't remember. And she does this little action with her hand like this, and which is normally a sign of open and honesty when somebody's showing the palms of the hands in their own. But what's happened is you've had the pitch change there, the tone change, the volume change, and she's gone from speaking clearly to I can't remember, and it's almost a voice to whisper. So
that hand gesture, could it be a pushing away?
Possibly. Can you replay that last couple of seconds again? Let's have a little look.
Marks I got for 13 subjects. I can't remember. Marks I got for 13 subjects. I can't remember.
Oh, no, she's just going back and forth.
Yeah.
It appears she's not pushing it away.
Right.
Let me check it one more time.
Marks I got for 13 subjects. I can't remember.
Yeah, sorry, but that's just kind of like a rhythm back and forth. I don't think it's anything.
Yeah, but possibly, if anything, a sign of just discomfort. And but either way, sure. the main point there was just that pitch change, the tone change. It's I think it's going to be pertinent in a moment.
It is.
If it came to it, would you take a lie detector test?
Yeah. Possibly, yeah. I would need to consult other lawyers about that.
If we set one up, you would do it.
A lie detector test for what?
The police, as you know, the police use them. They're just an indication.
They use them for mass murder and things like that.
Jeez, this is not a comfortable topic for her.
Nope, far from it.
Well, no, they use them in many cases just to determine whether they think someone's telling the truth.
They don't use them that much. I know you've done the programs of women behind bars and things. I confess, I think I've just seen one.
Wow, she's pretty knowledgeable about the lie detectors or polygraph, if you will. They don't use it much, really. She is a lawyer. Does she work in the criminal field? It's interesting.
I think she's employment law, isn't she? So she probably wouldn't have much to do with lie detectors and polygraph machines. But she certainly has changed from her initial, when the question was first asked, would you take a lie detector test? Yes! Lie detector test for what? I mean, it's almost like I think a lot of the times she knows that the answers she's given are on technicalities. Therefore, she knows when she can turn around and say, I didn't do X, I was doing Y instead, or it had a different name at that time, or it was called something else back then, or whatever the case may be. And that's why she knows if she did a lie detector test and somebody were to ask, well, if you didn't do that, have you ever done anything similar? She'd probably fail.
Probably, yes. And that is a method of evasion too often. Now, she's not really doing it, but she's not admitting much.
No.
Sometimes people admit, bad deeds, but lesser bad deeds. So then that way they get the bonus points for their honesty with those deeds, and it pushes people off. She's kind of being cornered.
Yeah, and I'd love to be able to chat to her to ask if she's ever done like when she said in the past, for example, I've never been to prison. In her mind, there might be the caveat of I've never been to prison since I've changed my name from a double barrel to a single barrel name, and therefore, if the old name, whatever happened, there'll be a record of it in that name, not in this name. So therefore, I can say no.
That reminds me of another comment. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Remember when she said that she never attacked his girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody pointed out that he was possibly with somebody trans.
It's highly possible.
Then if the person he was with was trans and she didn't acknowledge the trans female as being a female, she wouldn't be lying, would she?
And therefore it goes again with this whole technicality and with her background in law, this is where they specialize. There was a case a few years ago of a guy who went to court for speeding, and he got all the tickets. He went to court and he said, right, you've been accused of speeding in a Citroen Fuego. How do you plead? Not guilty. And it turned out the reason he got off with it was because there's no such thing as a Citroen Fuego. It was a Renault Fuego. It was a completely different manufacturer of car. He was speeding. He was on the road. He was driving illegally. But because the police had written the wrong manufacturer of car on the ticket, that technicality, he said, well, no, I was never speeding in a Citroen Fuego. He wasn't. They don't exist. He was speeding. But
and therefore, the cop is wrong, too.
Exactly.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. So, and this is where lawyers specialize in looking for those little things to say, well, no, I never did this particular action, or we've seen it so many times. Did you murder somebody on Friday? No, it was before.
Not Friday.
It was after midnight, so you can say no.
There you go.
But it's not used that much.
Well, look, I'll be honest with you.
I'd have to have a think.
Since you've mentioned it, I've done a lot of crime interviews with people who've committed way worse offences than what you've been accused of.
Yeah, I haven't. I know we have.
Way more mass murderers, serial killers, and so on. And they're all, I've got to say, almost all of them are very good liars. Could it be people to be asking this, watching you, thinking either she's genuinely innocent here, or she's a terrible liar who is capable of all of these things?
I don't lie, and.
There was an interesting segment, too. She almost distracted him. When she went in, about his interviewing murderers, she kind of got him off her back for a little bit when he was talking about, oh, yeah, and I interviewed this person, this person, that. That was interesting.
I think that was part of his play down to say, look, mass murderers are all up here. These big bad criminals are all up here. You've just done this, and I think he was trying to say, look, you've just been accused of this little thing. It's not really that significant. However, did you notice the body action of her pulling the cardigan or blazer or jacket, whatever it is, around when she was talking about the lie detector test? That was a very kind of closing in defensive movement to kind of cover up the vital organs. So don't get me wrong, it could be the case that she's just sat
Right
on
here.
it. That's it, and pulling it around. But there were one or two other little indicators there to say that she was uncomfortable with this whole thing, especially right at the very, very beginning.
Water.
Yeah, getting the water. Anything that's bringing in something, bodily part, guarding and covering the throat and the areas of vulnerability. But yeah, the whole thing for me was laughable at the beginning, where she was like, "Will you take a lie detector test?" Yeah, maybe. Lie detector test for what? I mean that was.
I like how it never cuts off. It was like a sort of a run-on sentence. Like,
yeah.
Yes, I probably consider. Why would I have to take one anyway?
Yeah. I mean, there's even the whole kind of she kind of leans back and she's kind of like distancing herself physically from the kind of like a suspicious. Why would you want me to do that? Which I thought was quite funny. Let's see how far back she is there. Look, so
Almost like a blow.
yeah. So you got all of that, and then she's saying, "Oh, I'd have to consult my lawyers. I'd have to kind of why do you want me to take one?" So it's almost like she's like, "Has he got something else that I don't know about yet? Does he know something? Is he going to pop out with a lie detector test and just say, right, strap this on?" And he's a bit concerned because these things have happened.
Yeah. I just saw a clip that somebody had put out on X about an accused bad guy who does things with kids or whatever, potentially being busted by a live streamer where he pulled out a fake flashbang and threw it in the room or whatever. And the guy's like, what? And then all of a sudden he's hooked up to a lie detector with like these YouTubers. I believe it was Fit from Fresh and Fit, Myron something or another, asking questions of him. So I don't know the whole sequence because that was kind of cut together, but it does sound like oh, you want such and such, and then poof, here comes the polygraph man.
Yeah, and I think she knows he's got the means of doing that, and I think that's why it went from initially from a yes, I'll do a lie detector test to like, hang on, they haven't got one here that they're going to get me on, are they? And then all of a sudden, no, I'd have to talk to my lawyers for what? What do you want to ask me? Yeah.
And by the way, folks, I think that the polygraph is bullshit. So I'm just putting my stance out there but it is a good tool, an effective tool. I interviewed the number one enemy with the polygraph, if you will. He actually went to prison for teaching people how they could beat it, which is ironic because they claimed that people can't beat the polygraph. He said the polygraph is a lie because people can beat it. And then they put him in prison for proving that people could beat it by showing them how to beat it. I haven't figured out all the logic of that, but let's just say that happened. I just want to clarify my stance on it. I think of it more as a tool. He called the polygraph a rubber hose.
It's just assistance. I've used one myself. It helps, but it's not something that should ever be relied solely on. I mean, it's nice for me to be able to see spikes and changes in the graphs and be able to see things and go, okay, now I can add that to this cluster of information that his body language is showing, to the statement he's made, to one or two other things, and then I can put it all together. And
there seems to be stress. Keep asking questions here.
Exactly.
You know what? I'll just say it's a lot like the AI statement analysis that I was sharing. It points out things, but you can't depend completely on it. You have to really do your homework.
Exactly.
All right. And by the way, body language too.
And
How many times did you meet Richard Gere?
Don't know.
What would you guess?
5, 6, maybe 5, 6 times.
That's it?
Yeah.
In your life?
Yeah.
Couple times, 5, 6 times. It was banter. We were all friends. Wanted to congratulate him. Yeah. I will never know how many times she actually met.
I don't think she even knows how many times she met. But, you know, these were, I mean, it's obvious these questions are going to be asked.
Mhm.
You know, it's obvious. Now, she'd have been a lot better turning around and saying something along the lines of, I went into a pub. He was a barman there. We were all regulars there. We were there all the time. I don't actually know. Are you going to count every time you come round and picked up the glasses from a table, or the times we actually spoke, or you know? So she'd have been better off, you know, saying it as it was. And like I said from the very, very beginning, if she'd have come onto this show and just said, "Yes, I drank in that pub all the time. He was the barman there. We did know each other, but this whole thing has been blown up out of proportion, and he's made me look really, really bad." That would have been a lot better than coming on saying, "Yes, I know him. No, I don't. We were friends, but I've never met him. But I know where he lives. But I don't. I'd send him letters. Well, I sent him that letter." Yeah. Dear me, what a mess.
And that's where people get into trouble, is by distancing, because you're right. I mean, she could have said, well, I'm a regular at the bar, so when he's working there, obviously I'm around, and we travel in the same circles.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't consider him a friend per se, but yeah, I know the guy.
Exactly. Which would have been a lot better and would have made her look, rather than turning around. I mean, some of the things she said, when she said, "Oh no, he only worked there these particular nights," and you know, and things like that, and, you know, it's made her look even more like a stalker when she seems to know his work schedule.
Right, or she could say, he's my friend," you know, or whatever. We're not close friends, or well, anyway. It's just very weird.
Yeah,
it's very, very weird.
Right. To people who are watching this and who still doubt you, what do you say to them?
I think you should watch this. I think you should look at the number of articles that Richard Gadd and Jessica, the actress, have done, and how Netflix and he have promoted this. I think you should look at him saying, "I am some sort of mental case," and judge for yourselves, because I can't change your mind on this. I can just rebut what has been said. You need to make up your own minds. But my mind is made up. He's a liar. And my friends say likewise.
Okay. What do you think?
I'm thinking that should have gone completely different. I mean, totally different. She should have turned around from the beginning and picked which side she was on, and either turned around and said, "Look, that person in that story is not me. Please leave me alone. You know, there's things that have happened, but, you know, leave me alone." Or, "Yes, that person was me, but it's been really, really blown up out of proportion. I don't deserve this. Please leave me alone." You know, something along those lines. But to turn around and give, I mean, what was really effectively just waffle to start with, you know, "Oh, I think you should look at articles, and I think you should look at this, and I think you should look at that," and then make your own mind up. I think most of the nation, in fact, probably most of the world, has already made their own mind up. That's the problem.
Let's do that just for a brief second. I said that was the last clip. I lied.
Yeah, it is a true story. I was stalked for a large number of years, and it was a whole ordeal, and the story is based in truth for sure.
And there we have it.
Ooh, shrugs, duper's delight, a lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot of distancing language.
Mm-hmm.
This is just one quick segment, so I don't trust this guy. I think that, yes, some things went down, but I'm feeling like there could have been some creative license too. I'm not sure what you think, and this is only one clip, so I want to ask everyone here. Do you want us to do what Fiona suggested? Do you want us to take a look at some Richard Gadd clips and see what we think of Richard Gadd and his story? Should we spend only the focus on Fiona Harvey, or do you think it's worth it to also look at Mr. Gadd? What are your thoughts, Gavin?
I with everything I've seen there, I think this whole thing is going to be a case of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think it's going to be a bit of a mess. I think they're both being, you know, very loose with the truth.
And I can't help but wonder if in the end they're both getting fame out of it in their own ways. But it's not up to me, and it's not up to Gavin. It's up to all of you. Do you want us to do more on it? Please comment below. And thank you so much.